You post so much, I thought you were like doing it for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
like I was like
no.
on my podcast, you're like, no, dude. I was like,
Just do it
what?
every
Like,
day.
and that's good.
For a
Like
year.
you need, like, it's good to post like that. You know what I mean? It's good to stay consistent like that.
I think for me right now, it's been a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Officially.
That's
yeah.
still really good though. Like that's a year and a half of just straight consistency. Even like your breaks aren't even that long.
No.
Like, they're like 2 weeks. Yeah, they're like 2 weeks.
Maybe
like
3.
You'll text me and I'll be like, oh, how long is the break? And you're like 2 weeks. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? I was like, I take like 3 months off, man. Like,
I need a little bit more than that.
yeah.
Welcome to Talks and Sips, where fun is the best chaser. I am your host, Jayfoxx, helping you laugh and learn while you go through the ebbs and flows of your week. Grab your favorite bevies and get ready to hear some informationally funny 411 on today's show. Psst, psst, guess, small talk me.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I think life can get kind of wavy sometimes, and then we die. So it's cool.
Yeah. It's always about that lifelong roller coaster.
Yeah, you wake up every day and you're like, oh, we're still here.
Yeah, just on autopilot every day.
No, we don't want to be on.
I know we don't want to be, but that's what it
happens.
happens. It happens
because the
so
journey
much.
is so long.
Yeah, especially when you get like stuck in a rut, like, you know, like say like me, like for school, like I've been doing school so long.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm on autopilot because of it.
You're like, can this part of my life be done?
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
that's great and all. You should enjoy the journey, but I'm not going to tell you how to enjoy your life. But I'm just going to say, psst, wow, that's cool. That's so cool. Wow, school. Wow. Okay. Anyway, did you know, guys, that the earliest use of podcasting, end quote, was traced to the Guardian columnist and BBC journalist Ben Hammersley, who coined it in early February 2004 while writing an article for the Guardian newspaper. And just like that, thank you, Talks and Sips. We've all learned something together.
Yes, we have. I didn't even know that at all. I didn't realize it was that
Recent?
recent. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I figured it'd be way longer than that.
Podcasting is still in its infancy, and we are in what we would consider the Wild West of
It's true.
its lifespan.
It's true. It's true.
Okay, so without further ado, I gotta introduce my guest, and you guys know I always introduce them with the jingles, so I don't know if the voice gave him away. You might not know him. Some might. Whoever listens to the show know that we're all kind of intermingled one way or another. But anyway, without further ado, a jingle. He's got a mic that seems to me reminds me of podcasts I have seen. Wherever we take is a good soundbite. It's a great soundbite because you have really good mics, my guy.
Thank you.
Searching for happiness is a real good time. Hosted by Joseph Grable, provoking all the minds. And that's all I got for you today.
That was perfect to me. I loved it. It was a nice little ego stroke.
You're like, yeah.
That's me. That's me. Okay.
Who are you, by the way? So the world can know.
Well, you know, my name's Joseph Grable. You know, I am an aspiring film director, writer, and actor. I'm currently finishing school right now. I got about a few months left of that.
Lovely.
And, you know, I'm just trying to cruise through life, trying to, you know, search for happiness constantly. And, you know, I podcast as well. You know, I recently had Jay on as well. So, you know, it's been quite the journey.
Right. And I remember what you said in your podcast. So you're like, out of all the different creative mediums that I dabble in, this is the one where you felt like you were able to learn and pick up different skill sets the quickest.
Oh, 100%. Like, I think, you know, as a filmmaker, I mean, I'm constantly learning, but being a filmmaker, it takes a long time to do a lot of things, like a very long time.
Absolutely.
Like, I've been doing it for like 5 years and I'm still an amateur, you know, like an amateur,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And so like with podcasting, I kind of picked it up, did the research, you know, took my time trying to think of, you know, the idea and whatnot. And then like I got all the gear and then like I started my first episode and I just started like making mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. And it just kept going and going. And I was like, wow, like, and I think it was about like a few months ago, I like looked back, I was like, wow, I've actually like learned like a lot.
And I've progressed this whole time.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Like I remember like editing, like I used to hate it. Like it was the worst thing on the planet. And now I'm
dreading it.
Now I'm like, okay, like I kind of enjoy this. Like, you know, like I don't feel like I want to like look at my phone the whole time, or like, you know, I don't feel like I'm as stressed about it trying to get it out anymore either, because I enjoy doing it now.
I remember we had like a heart-to-heart the other day, or not the other day, but not too long ago, where we're like, how do you balance like getting this out, making sure, you know, you're being of good service and supplying what people are kind of used to getting for free.
Yeah.
And like keeping your sanity and your state of mind and still kind of enjoying it, you know? And and I think it was like finding that it was like, well, don't be so hard on yourself. And I think the biggest thing, and I always compare it to like, I can double dutch myself back into the game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to always be jumping. You know, it's okay.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm so big on taking like breaks and like mental health breaks. I take them all the time. Like sometimes I go like 3 months without doing shit. Like, I mean, I'm just starting my second season, and I took, like, I was telling you, like, I kind of regret taking so much time off because like I fell out of the rut, but like I took like 3 months off, you know, from my first season to my second one.
I feel like as someone who had just kind of ventured into it, and then just feeling the pressures of the marketing aspect of it, right? 'Cause
that's exactly why
you're
I took
like,
a break.
I can't.
It's I'm
gonna give myself this grace.
When you're like a one man or a one woman show, and you have to do the graphics, you have to do, you know, the editing, the sound work, you know, the hosting, the scripting, if you have scripting, you know, whatnot. That's like me and you both, like, for our shows, do that all of it.
Time, yeah.
All of it. So
Yeah.
like, and like, I feel like a lot of people that listen to podcasts don't like realize that either.
How many components are involved?
Like, yeah, it's like making a film. Like, you know, no one ever
But
like realizes
it's
how
like
many
making
components.
a film every week.
Yes, exactly.
Every week.
Exactly.
It's
and
bonkers.
It's crazy, and it's so stressful, but it's like when you're always done with the interview, you're like, I don't know why I was really stressed. Like, that kind of went good. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that went well. Like, you know, but like, it's like making a movie for sure. I completely agree to that, you know, analogy, because it's just like, you know, you're constantly obviously working with technology as well.
Always.
You know, you have to, you know, think on the fly sometimes. Like, my podcast, Searching for Happiness, is very, you know, opinionated, or not opinionated. What you're feeling, like how your life's going. And so like, I don't know what people are going to say. I have to adapt to that. Just like most podcasters have to adapt to that, as to where like, I don't go in being like, I want to talk about this, and this. Like, I'll be like, if we get to this, that's great. If not, you know, it is what it is. I just try to like center around like my guests and kind of like their life, and like how, you know, they handle things, how they handle their mental health and whatnot. So like,
and that's what your podcast is called Searching for Happiness. And ours today is called Searching for Sips.
Searching for Sips.
Hybrid.
I love it. It's a great name. It's a great name.
But I do love that. So how did you get into podcasting? You know, you obviously you have a niche that you chose, and you haven't been in LA forever. I feel like I keep getting blessed up with transplants, and it's different because I'm from here, and a lot of us for a long time, I can honestly say a good chunk of us, we kind of, this is home. So we're not like looking or chasing that star, if you will. Yeah. You know, we're like, oh, cool, we just live by the beach and go to Disney on a Monday. Like, cool, you know? And it's like, we take it for granted, where other people are like, I'm moving from very, very far to make this happen, and now it's expensive. And we're like, what do you mean? It's always been expensive. And so, yeah, how do you come about to being in this place in your life? And you're married and you're young, so like there's you're like a box of that just keeps giving. So like, give away what's happening here.
First
Unravel.
off, I love LA. You know, it has its moments, but I do love LA. And like, on my outside perspective of it, like, moving here was to definitely, you know, chase the stars, you know, be an actor and, you know, whatnot. And I've taken, you know, different steps since then, for sure. But LA's pretty crazy. Like, the opportunities it has is like unlike anywhere else I've ever been in the world, you know. And like, on an outside perspective, moving here, I knew it was going to be expensive, but I didn't know it was going to be expensive.
You're like, oh, $3
like,
signs, $4 signs.
I was like, $2K doesn't sound that bad, like, I guess. And then you realize that's what they meant for rent, and you're like, you're like, okay.
I
like,
thought this was rent and like car insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe my phone bill.
Exactly.
Whoa,
so like, I think the shock of like how expensive everything is really, you know, hit me in the face like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Especially like, because I moved here with just like roommates I didn't even know. Like, I never had met. Like, the first day I met them was when I moved in.
That's
like,
incredible, and it's so risky. And
it's so risky.
You know, there's scams out there. I have a friend who is moving to San Francisco from here, and it was like one of those, hey, I send me the cash or send me the money order, and I'm going to email you the key. And you're like, or not email you, so I will mail you the key to the apartment. And you're like, no, bitch, I need to see this place before I send you any money. And like he got scammed in San Francisco.
That's crazy.
And lost out on a lot of money. So like that can easily happen here, and I'm so happy that didn't happen to you.
Yeah, no, 100%. I was actually very fortunate. The school that I'm still currently going to, Los Angeles Film School, they had I don't know if they still do it, but when I first started, like in 2019 of like August or something, they had like this resident situation where they would like hook everything up for you.
That's great.
And I got onto that when I did like the orientation, but I didn't get like a confirmation until like probably a month before I was supposed to leave. And then, like, they didn't give us any of each other's phone numbers or, like, anything to, like, talk to each other. So I had no idea how many people I was going to live with. I had no idea. Because I knew it was shared bedrooms, but, like, the bedrooms were pretty, like, kind of spacious. Like,
that's
so,
nice.
like, I was like, maybe they'll have 3 in one room or something like that. And I had, like, all these people. And, like, it was a very great experience, though. I've never been, like, it was a very cultural shock.
It's screaming
of a situation.
hostels, like when you travel
abroad. Yes. It's very much so, like, and it's very awkward at first. You're like, I'm like living with this dude I've like never met, and like I moved here with just like a suitcase. So
please
like,
don't kill me in my sleep.
Exactly. I was like, if I disappeared, only my mom would know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but like that was I don't regret any of that though. Like I love that I did that, and like I think moving to LA like really changed my perspective on a lot of things. Like, you know, when I talk to you or people from here, I know that you guys are from here, you know, because of the way, you know, like, just like Long Beach and chillin'. Disneyland, just chilling. Like you guys like Ceci, she goes all the time. I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? Like I was like, but she like lives here and she like understands how all the systems work and everything, is to where like I don't, like, you know what I mean? And like things can still be like very expensive, or I don't know how to maneuver my way through a situation that sometimes, like, to get cheaper stuff, like, because I know, like, locals know a way to do that
how
sometimes.
How to finagle the system a little.
Yeah. And so, like, sometimes I've struggled with that. But other than that, like, I just, you know, I moved here to be a, you know, movie star. I kind of fell in love with behind the scenes rather than in front of the camera. I still do it, like, sometimes, like, for friends and stuff, for, like, short films. But I'm mainly behind the scenes.
I love that. It's playing to your strengths and knowing what your weaknesses are and not trying to force anything.
100%. And like, you know, like, and like that was just like the beginning of like moving to LA, you know, and then like I think like 6 months after I moved here, I like met my wife, and then, you know, fell in love and all that stuff. And, you know, we got married probably like a year and a half after we met. We got engaged like around like the year mark, around so. And I proposed to her in like my most favorite spot in the world.
Where?
Which is like, it's this place called Paulina Peak, and it's back home, and it's like this mountain that you have to like drive. It's super shady. Yeah, it's super shady to drive up. It's like one road, and it's like super thin. It's super shady to drive up. But once you get up there, like the views are just beautiful, just gorgeous. It's surrounded by 2 lakes and nothing but trees and mountains, and like you can't see any city, you can't see
you're just in the wilderness.
Any road, you're just up on top of a mountain in the wilderness. And I was like, that's such a beautiful spot. I
love when people tell me that they go to mountainsides that are way high up and there's bodies of water just floating on top of the planet somewhere in the mountain.
It's so crazy to me. It's so crazy to me that it like stuff like that exists, you know. And so like she immigrated from Brazil to New York and then moved to LA.
Wow.
After a year being in New York.
She's like, I don't like it here. I'm getting out.
That's pretty much why she left. She's like, I didn't really like, because she didn't live in like New York City. She lived in like
the Bronx or something.
Like, no, like Buffalo area, like New York. Like, yeah, like right next to like the Canada border, I think, kind of, sort of. So it's like super cold and like awful. And she's like, I love LA.
I love the heat.
Yeah, she's like, I love the heat. So yeah, like you know, it's been a journey, and I think how it really like led me to podcasting is like I kind of had like a dinner with somebody, and like I was very, very stuck, because I wasn't making it anywhere as an actor. I wasn't making it anywhere as like a first assistant director or anything, and I'm kind of like stuck for like, I think at this time I was like 4 months without any like set work.
Oh, I see.
So I was like really stuck, and like I couldn't figure out anything. And this guy was like, oh, well, like, you need to figure out, you know, something to fill your time to like, you know, gain more experience in something. And I was like, all right, that's true. And then he asked me, he's like, what do you like do every day? And I was like, I don't know, dude. Like, I don't get up and like live life.
This was an autopilot moment in your life.
Yeah. I was like, I literally was like, I don't know, dude. And he's like, really think about it. Like, think outside the box. And then he's like, what's something you could do all day, every day? And like,
I really love that you had someone that could have that like come to God moment with you, because I feel like a lot of the times people are afraid to be genuine in response to you.
The crazy thing is this dude was like a stranger.
No way.
Yeah, like I was just taught. Like I went to with like
that man was dripping in confidence.
Right. It was at a bar. It's like at the bar top or whatever area where you sit. I was with my buddy Salvador, and he went to like the bathroom or something, and I was just like drinking, and this dude just like he was like eavesdropping on the conversation we were having, and like. And he was just like, hey, man, he's like, you know, like he just gave me some like wisdom. And then he asked me that question. He's like, what do you like do all day, every day that you could do differently or all the time?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, I mean, like, I love to talk. Like, I was like, that's the only thing that like came to my mind was like, I talk a lot. Like, I love talking to people. I love learning about people. I love, you know, being around people that want to learn.
Yeah.
And he's like, why don't you just do a podcast then?
I love that. Just so nonchalant.
And I just like looked at him. Yeah.
What time of the day was this?
Oh, it was late. It was probably like 11 or 12.
Oh, okay. Was it like
PM.
on a weekend or?
No, I think
on a weekday.
It was,
I've been to the bar on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
I'm all about the happy hour.
I think it was a Wednesday or Tuesday actually. I think.
I'm not mad at it. So this man's just sitting here, eavesdropping, looking. Your buddy walks away. All right, here are my 2 cents, cuz.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, he kind of, like, what he did is he, like, because the way the chairs were, like, you could kind of slide them if you wanted to.
Yeah,
and he was just like, hey,
he cha-cha slide to the left into
he just,
your
like,
life.
he literally grabbed his drink, and he's like, hey, man. And he's like, and then he just, like, caught up a conversation, and then, like, my buddy, like,
awesome.
He ended up taking a phone call, so, like, the conversation went on longer, and, like, we got to the point, he's like, you should just do a podcast, man. Like, and he's like, what are you experienced in? I was like, trauma. And he's like, do one like on mental health or something on those aspects. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I was like jokingly like telling him, I was like, well, trauma, I guess. But like, that's the only thing I could think of at the top of my head. And he was like really like straightforward. He's just like, wow, you should do it. You know, do like if you have like a lot of experience with like bad things in life, like you should do something that's like, or try to be inspiring in a way, or try to like get people to be inspired. And he's like I feel like doing a mental health podcast it'd be rough, but he's like, I think it would really work for you, just based off like my personality that he was getting and stuff. And because like when I drink, oh my god, I'm even friendlier. I'm like, yo, what's up?
Oh man, you and I are probably like the same, just you know, different genders or whatever. Like, because I'm the same way. Like, I already speak a lot. I love being around people, and then I get drunk, and sometimes as a woman it can be misconstrued, like, you're being a little slut right now. It's like, nah, bitch, I just talk to everyone, and I want to hug everyone because I'm like just a loving person. I have so much love to give.
I always tell people when I'm drunk, I'm like, I love you, man. I no matter who it is, no matter how awkward it is. Like, goodness. I tell my best friend Salvador, I'm like, I always look over, I'm like, I love you, man. Like, yeah, like, you're a real one, man. Like, I tell people that a lot when I'm drunk.
Are you naturally a hype guy? Because I'm same.
I'm always for people like just doing their best and learning and like.
Amazing.
Right.
I love you.
I love, like, this is really bad, but like I really like, you know, like I never wish like sadness on my friends or anything, but like I enjoy that they come to me for like advice sometimes when they are sad, and like that's a big reason why I started the podcast too, is because like that happens quite often sometimes. Like, people
feel safe around you, and
because they like
confide.
It's mainly people that have like mainly known me my whole life, you know what I mean, and they know like, you know, like about my heart surgeries and everything, so like they know like I like.
You've gone through it.
Yeah, I've gone through, like, my mental state is completely different than a lot of people my age. And, like, you know, and they, like, sometimes I'll get people from, like, I haven't heard from, like, 2 years. Like,
really?
Like, a week ago, I heard from this dude I haven't heard from since high school, and that was, like, 6 years ago.
Holy moly.
And he was like, hey, man, he's like, I'm just, like, you know, struggling a bit right now. And, like, we talked and this and that. And he was just, like, you know, he just, like, really appreciated it. And, like, I felt good about it, too, because, like, the fact that I I have like the ability to like pick up right where I left off with somebody. I try to do that with everybody, and like to prove it, like I did it with someone I haven't like talked to in like 6 years. I was like, that's kind of cool that I was able to do that, and like it was cordial. And I don't think
it doesn't come easy for people to do that. And those are seldom relationships that happen. You know, I have a friend too who lives in Michigan, and I've known her since like 3rd grade, and she's been out in Michigan for easily 7 years now. And I go see her every few years, or you know, and it's, hey boo, how you doing?
Right.
Like time has never passed. So it's really hard. It's really hard to achieve those relationships.
I actually have like a lot of those relationships, which
That's
is
great.
nice. Which is nice. Like I have like, I don't really have high school friends, you know what I mean? Like people from high school, but I have like a really good friend named Hope and Sahara, and they're really great people, and like,
those are majestic ass names. Shout out Hope and Sahara.
Right. They're great names. And yeah, like I could not talk to them for like a whole year, and like I would just text them one day and they'll be like, oh, what's up, man? How you doing? You know, like, and the same vice versa.
Like no time has passed.
Yeah, exactly. And like I do a lot with like, you know, like friends I've made here now. Like, you know, like it's like being an adult, you have to make an appointment to like fucking hang out with people.
It's just schedules.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
the rat race of LA.
And it's the same thing with talking to them. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people don't text you back for like 3 days. You know what I mean? So like it's really good to like reconnect with people and have the ability to talk to people, like, and that people feel comfortable like coming to me like that, you know, like, because to me, like, I don't feel any special, you know, I don't feel special or anything. Like I'm like I don't understand why people even come to me, you know what I mean? But like it's cool that people can do that. And like it's a big reason I started the podcast, because I maybe hopefully not have thousands of people asking me, but like, you know, just like let people know they're not alone, and like, you know,
I love that.
Yeah,
love that. I also appreciate that you can cover in your podcast just things that like not every day, but things that people who aren't like huge celebrities, people, they're very down to earth, real concerns, real problems for people, you know, and it's so relatable in that way, because it's like you don't know who's listening who may be going through something similar, and you might be finding a solution that they couldn't find on their own.
Yeah, I agree. And like, you know, I think, you know, it gets a lot of shit, but like TikToks and Reels and stuff, like people give it a lot of shit, but like that changes people's lives too, you know what I mean? And like that's why like that's why I went to videos, because I realized I was like, you could impact someone from like the other side of the world, you know what I mean? Because it's just randomly videos like sourced to the internet.
Some robot in like the Matrix decides,
exactly
this can go to Australia from California, and you're like, what the fuck?
Right. It's crazy like how organically you can grow. And it's like with you, it's like the longer you grind, the more that's gonna come, you know, like, because you try to post like every day or so, right? Yeah, because I see you post so much. I thought you were like doing it for like 2 or 3 years. Like I was like no. On my podcast, you're like, no, dude. I was like, what? Like, and that's good. Like you need, like, it's good to post like that. You know what I mean? It's good to stay consistent like that.
I think for me right now, it's been a year and a half. Officially.
That's still really good though. Like that's a year and a half of just straight consistency. Even like your breaks aren't even that long.
No.
Like, they're like 2 weeks. Yeah. They're like 2 weeks.
Maybe
like
3.
You'll text me and I'll be like, oh, how long is the break? And you're like 2 weeks. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? I was like, I take like 3 months off, man. Like,
I need a little bit more than that.
Yeah, but like that had a lot to do with like the situation I was in at the time. But like, you know, like I admire that you just have like this level of like consistency.
Aw, thanks, man.
I'm trying to be like that. I don't have that. Like I can't like stay consistent. Like there's days I wake up where I'm just like, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to, like, and that's the shitty side of like living with like, you know, like clinical or deep depression is like some days you wake up, even if you want to do shit, you can't do shit, because like your brain is just like, it's not even like voices telling you sometimes. It's just like foggy.
Oh, I see.
You ever like wake up drowsy and like you just can't think properly, or like you just can't like walk properly or something like that?
Yesterday, after I went to go pick up the second camera, I realized I was in a car for a little bit longer than I should have, and I didn't properly. A lot of it, and it's actually quite baffling, but a lot of problems or solutions to our problems could be like a decent diet, like a well-balanced meal, decent rest, and water. And I know that sounds crazy to LA people because we're just operating on coffee and like naps and stuff, but I like had to get back to my boyfriend's house and go, all right, I'm going to go to sleep now because I know we have to do 2 more things tonight before the night is out. And I don't know that I can perform at my best or even be good company to anyone. So I'm going to go to sleep now for about an hour and a half in the middle of the goddamn day. Yeah. you know, and you got to do that sometimes.
It's good that you're very self-aware like that too. Like me, like sometimes I'm not self-aware like that. Like I'll like burn myself out for the whole day and then have to go somewhere and like it's obvious I don't want to be there.
Yeah,
like
they're like,
I'm
who
still
brought
like
this guy?
Yeah, like I still try to be like super nice and like look like I'm really enjoying it, but there's sometimes I'm like, oh man,
I'm really phoning it in right now.
Yeah, I'm really struggling right now, man. But like, you know, overall, like I understand that, and it's such a hustle here. Like I try to explain that to people back home. Like I'm like, they're like, oh, like sometimes, you know, some months you can make like $1,000 and then some months you can make like 6 or like 5 or something like that. But like here, that's like nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing. It's like a month's worth of bills.
Yeah.
And like I try to explain that to people too, that it's such a hustle here. And no matter like, I mean, I'm sure if you get to a certain point with money, you don't have to worry about it. But it's like, even if you're making like that much money, it's like you're still like struggling.
Yeah.
It's weird. You know, I tell people all the time, like, I had people hit me up like, oh, I think about moving to LA. I was like, you better have a fucking plan, bro. Like you like, because I did not move here with a plan at all.
Boy.
Like other than like having that room secure for like me to stay in and go to school. Other than that, I didn't think about anything. And like that was, I mean, of course, I was like 20, so like I was dumb. Like I didn't even think about that stuff. I didn't care about that stuff. You know what I mean?
It was an experience that you kind of had to go through.
Yeah, like I, you know, like, but like, you know, LA, it's crazy. Like, although I've progressed a lot, like I have like 1 bedroom now with my wife, I have a dog now, and like, you know, my life is very different now than it used to be. But like, I've noticed that LA is such a hustle, and like, no matter how much you do, like sometimes it just feels like it's never good enough here.
Oh, I see. Yeah. But,
yeah.
And you know how I feel about that. I've told you about that. And one of my mantras is, a comparison is the thief of joy, right? And so a lot of the times it may actually not be people telling you that what you're doing isn't enough. A lot of the times it could really just be us projecting our insecurities to the situation, right?
100%.
Yeah, and because we are so interwoven with social media, like it's fantasy land. Like, why isn't my life like that? And immediately the moment that happens, that's when you have to stop it down, because then it'll take the joy out of everything you're doing, regardless of what that is.
100%.
You know, and so I think there's a frenetic energy about being out here. And again, like I said, I'm from here, so I'm kind of stepping into that frenetic energy now, considering that I've been here my whole life and we're just like Gucci chilling, like, oh, we live here, we can go to Disneyland on a Monday, you know? And like, it doesn't matter, like, woo, life's good. Things are expensive, this is normal. And that's the thing, it's stopping it at the source. It's stopping it before it turns into, it makes the other apples bad. You know what I mean? And honestly, like I always say, like I said, I'm the ultimate hype girl. I'm always gonna be here for my guests or whatever.
100%.
But I'm like, you have to enjoy the experience, trust yourself, be authentic, and know that like you're doing your best, and everything else just has to come with it. Like whatever is supposed to come will. But the moment that we're like, well, I'm not getting these downloads, I'm not getting blah blah, like obviously check that stuff. It's important. Make sure you can learn, you take the constructive criticism as it comes, but also don't get so hung up that you're beating yourself, because everyone else will try to beat you up in a sense, right? There's no need for you to hurt yourself that way.
I completely agree. And like, I really love what you just said. Like, I couldn't agree more, seriously. And like, I feel like, you know, a big thing I like to tell myself, because I do get like that. Like I do get jealous, or like I'd be like, oh, why didn't I get that? Or jealous. Oh my! I haven't heard that song in so long. It's Nick Jonas, right? Oh, that's a good song. I'm not gonna lie, that's a good song. But like, yeah, like it's just crazy to me how like you can constantly feel that here. Like it never goes away.
No, it's there.
It's weird.
It's like a lingering ghost, and not a good ghost.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, and this year I've been like really like, you know what you were saying, like telling myself that like, you know, it's either just not my time yet, or that it's like, that was a big thing. Is I saw like a Samuel Jackson interview, And he was always like, they asked him about like Oscars or something like that. And he was like, I'm always just like, if I don't get something, he's like, it's just not my time.
I love that.
He's like, that's just not my time.
And he's acted in so much.
Exactly. And
he's gone for so long.
And like, I don't know if you've ever like realized, I can't think of any roles off the top of my head, but he's like even lost some really big roles to other actors that he was really bummed out about. But he's like, that wasn't meant for me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't meant for my
my
expertise or my skill set or whatever, like my looks, like it just wasn't meant for me. And he's like, that's how I just kind of approach life in general. And I was like, that's so smart.
I
like,
love that.
Since
I love
I watched,
the nonchalantness of it.
Yeah, ever since I watched that, I've been able to like
make it less personal.
Yeah, make it less personal, but like sometimes it's a little personal. Like I feel like some people go out of their way here to make it a bit personal as well. Like I don't know if you've ever had trouble with that.
No, you're not the only person that has said something like along those lines. And actually, I had this conversation very recently where I had another host on, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like there's actually a lot of drama in this community. We don't talk. I didn't want to bring that up because it's not the reputation or the image that I want to portray on this said community. Where there's jealousy, where there's insecurity in the self, then there's going to be talk. And so unfortunately, we are in a society that is very, very good about reading headlines, but not reading the article itself, right?
Yes.
And so with that, it's like someone's going to say this and they're going to take it at face value versus being like, hey, this is what I heard. Is that true? Or whatever. And just coming to you, you know, like, and asking for your validity. And so, and it's unfortunate, but at the same time, in those moments, you got to go, okay, this sucks. But you know what? These aren't the people for me.
Yeah, exactly. And like sometimes people will tell you too, oh, don't, mess with that person or don't work with that person. I've always thought too, that, like, like that's just your opinion. You know what I mean? Like, think like you're saying with like articles, people only read, the headline. That's it. Like they don't actually read the actual article.
Yeah.
And like most of those articles are just one person's opinion.
Exactly.
Out of like 7 billion people on this planet.
Exactly.
Like one person's opinion. So like every time like someone bashes somebody or something, I just like I'll just learn the hard way. I'll learn the hard way. Like if it works out, great. If it might be a great relationship, it might be awful. But
Yeah, and so, I mean, again, we're all just out here doing our best, right? Like,
100%.
you can only be authentic to yourself. So really, like, I just think of moments like that because, I mean, in my life, I'm fortunate that, like, I'm kind of, like, I share stuff on social, but I'm more on the private side.
That's fair.
Almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You don't share like personal stuff. You're just like I'm doing this today.
It's fun.
Yeah, I'm doing this today. Like I think like yesterday you were like rollerblading or something. And I was like, that's a fun little thing to post. Like, but it's nothing personal.
Right. And so sometimes it's like there are things that you have to be you got to keep to yourself.
Yeah.
It's your safety.
I think if you like live like in Hollywood, or not Hollywood, but live in LA and you're part of like such a lucrative business like the film or music or audio or whatever, that you should really try to be private. Like that was one of my biggest lessons not even last year, like probably like within a few months was like, I used to post like really personal stuff all the time. Like, like if I was upset or blah, blah, blah. And like, it just like bites you back in the ass.
People are
so
like keeping
hard.
Receipts and you're like, why? Why are you keeping receipts?
Yeah, or like people like start like a fight with you like over their opinion. You're like, dude, like, okay, like you just look guilty, but okay. Like,
if the boot fits, motherfucker.
Exactly. If the shoe fits, fuck you.
Cowboy boot fits.
Yeah, but no, like I usually have like a lot of love, most of the time, but sometimes I get people that are like, bro, shut the fuck up, or like some shit like that. I'm like, okay, like, and I really learned a lesson. I had like this argument with somebody, and it was brutal. It was brutal, and ever since that, I don't post personal shit because like they just like went for my neck, and I was like, bro, like I don't even know where any of this is coming from. Like I didn't do anything to you, bro. Like
you probably said something without saying something, and someone interpreted it as a personal thing that had probably nothing to do with them. But like I said, if the boot fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, he had like, I remember like what happened. Like, my dog like bit my face.
Oh no,
while
Kobe!
Kobe bit my face at like 3:00 in the morning while I was
Kobe.
sleeping because like the helicopters like scared the shit out of him. Yeah, and so he naturally like attacked me and like, and it hurt. Like he didn't get hurt or nothing. Like I was just like really shocked and like I kind of like tossed him on the bed. I was like, bro, like what are you doing? Like. And like I was really confused because like it drew blood, like my face was like bleeding, and I was like I don't know what to do. And like, you know, I was just asking like my closest friends, because this dude was, I considered a close friend at the time. That's my closest friends, like my top 3 closest friends. Like, what should I do? Like, you know, should I try to like find really cheap training because I can't really afford it right now, or should like I try to give him to like a shelter? Because at this time I was struggling really badly, like financially. But I was like, should I give him to like one of those rehabilitated shelters? You know what I mean? That like they train him.
Right,
and then,
he's
like,
a trauma.
Yeah, exactly. He's a rescue. So like, I don't want to like make his life worse, you know? And it was just an option. Like I was just discussing.
But also you were literally probably just within the first 24 hours of getting your face mauled by your dog.
That's what I'm saying.
So you're like,
it was literally like, I think like 8 hours later after it, because I went back to like bed. Like I went to the hospital, and then like it was taking forever because LA hospitals, obviously. So I just like went home. I was like, well, hopefully it doesn't get infected. It's cool.
No.
And it worked. It worked. Like I didn't get infected or nothing. But like I think like 8 hours after that, I started texting people in the morning, and then he just like started ripping me apart. I'm like, bro, like what are you like?
Oh no.
He started talking like my health and like all this. I was like, dude, what are you like doing, bro? Like I just asked you opinion about if I should get rid of my dog or not. Like that's all I asked you. Like, and it wasn't. I was like, it's not even a for sure. Like I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'm just like stressed out right now because I don't
So my question though in that is did he approach you as a friend with like patience and like?
No.
Or was it because I know like on my end, and this is kind of what we spoke on your end, it was like I want to, like I said, I want to be your woo friend. I want to be the friend that you're going to have a good time with, but I'm also going to be your accountability friend and your accountability partner. And I'm going to do it so in a loving way. I'm going to be like, hey, you know why? Because realistically, I want friends that are going to do that to me. Exactly. I don't want anyone to be too afraid to be like, hey, Jess, I think the direction you're going in is trash, or I think this isn't good for your soul, or I think that, you know what I mean? How is this conducive to your lifestyle? Like, I want that for myself, from my friends, because if I'm not seeing it, like, you're just letting me spiral, and that comes from a place of someone who has spiraled, right? And so I want to be able to provide not just a fun friend, but a real friend. But you gotta do it with grace. You gotta do it with love. Like you can't just be like, look, you fucking piece of shit. Like
that's literally how it went though. Like I try to be like
nice.
I try to be like that type of person too. Like I always call my friends and family out like on accountability. I'm like, dude, like this is how it is. Like, you know, like you gotta do something about it. Like, you know, he was kind of just like, I said it, and then he's like, oh no, you shouldn't. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, why do you think I shouldn't? Like, that's all I said. And then he's like, well, dogs are like family. Like, you can't get rid of them. I'm like, yeah, like I understand. They're like it's like a child. I was like,
oh, he got on like a self-righteous thing.
Yeah. And I was like, no, like I understand people view their animals as child. I view my animal as my child. You know, like I wasn't gonna get rid of him. I was just like still like in shock. Like my face fucking hurt. Like my wife was like, I don't fucking want him, and like because she was mad about the situation too, and like I just needed a friend that would like knock my shit back in. You know what I mean? And like
set me straight, be a good friend.
And my 2 other friends did. They're like, Joseph, they're like just chill, breathe, like
take it easy.
They're like that was not okay, and that is perfect grounds to like, you know, take into a rehabilitation area, but we think you should like think on it. You know? And I did.
That's great.
And I was like, those are the friends I'm looking for. You know, and I'm that type of friend for them as well. And this other fellow was just like, nah, dude, like fuck you, bro. Like,
how dare you do it?
That's literally what he said.
He personalized.
No, he did. So he he like bit my fucking face. But like
I'm over here looking like Frankenstein. No big
exactly.
deal.
And so like, you know, we just what really went down is I sat on it and I thought about it. I was like, I could never like actually get rid of this dog. Like never. I was just really upset, and like my feelings were hurt because like I trusted the little dude to not like maul my face. Like I woke up with like his like teeth in my cheek. I was like, bro, like it was bad.
It's funny because I'm over here making fun of you, calling you Two-Face. But one of my most beloved dogs, because I don't have dogs. I haven't had dogs in like over 10 years. I'm not anti-pet, but I also understand their big responsibility. And it's a responsibility I don't want to have. Sorry.
It's a responsibility I didn't realize how big it was.
Because it's not like, cool, I got a dog, I'm going to have him for like a year or two. Like, nah, bitch. You're gonna have this dog for its lifespan.
Yeah, like 10
That's
to 15 years,
10 to 15
bro.
years of your life. I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. You got to take him for like long walks. I mean, Kobe doesn't like walking, so like.
Kobe's a Hollywood dog.
Kobe is 100%.
Kobe's a Hollywood dog.
He's
that
the
you
most
go to,
pampered.
Right, you go hiking and you're carrying him all across
Exactly,
Runyon Canyon.
literally.
Like, he's not walking. He's like,
That's literally him. That's
Pick
literally
me
him.
up,
He's
sir.
just like this little Chihuahua Corgi mix, and he's just like this cutest little thing. But he just like, he barely like walks in like the front lawn area, you know, like outside my apartment.
He's like, I've walked too far.
Yeah,
Pick me
he
up,
literally,
sir.
that's literally what he does. He
That's
doesn't
hilarious.
go like on the opposite side of the pool or anything. I had to pick him up. I'm like, let's go explore this area, buddy. And like,
Oh, boy.
he's still like that.
He went from living out in the wild and being mistreated.
I think that's why he doesn't like it.
Now he's like,
I think he was just like, he was so used to
I've
like
seen
being,
enough.
Yeah. Well, all the sounds in LA scare the shit out of him too.
Oh, poor dogs. Yeah. It's like always 4th of July here.
It's
too.
always like da 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 like on the cement and stuff, or like police sirens or
vibrations.
helicopters or some
Yeah.
homeless person screaming at you. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You're like, okay.
Okay.
You're like, I understand why you hate it, Kobe.
What other journey are you on right now?
That's oh man, I haven't even thought of that. That's a good question. The top two are definitely podcasting and then finishing school.
Yeah, that's
It's
a
such
huge feat.
I've been in college for like 6 years.
I
and
feel you.
And I'm just getting my bachelor's.
That's okay.
You know what I mean? Like, and it is okay. Like, I started at the very bottom, like math 10, like writing 10, like, because I graduated high school with like a 1.7 GPA.
Oh, I feel that.
Because I never showed up. And then like my senior year, like I literally just did online like all day, every day, and like hustled it out. And just like passed with like D's and C's and just
Please
like
get the grade.
exactly. And then I mean now I'm my you know I have like a 3.6 or something like that at the film school. But that's just because like in high school I hated it. But like I really regretted not going to school because when I got to college, I started in community college. They're like, oh, you have to like
Do everything from the start.
yeah, even if your knowledge
Yeah.
like even though my knowledge was better, I had the placement test or whatnot.
Yeah.
I went into the class and I would take it, and then like 3 days I'd be like so swamped with work or like not knowing what I'm doing that I had to go back and I'd be like, can I get a like easier class?
That's
like,
fair. That's fair. I love that you knew that you were limited in said area. You're like, I'm not gonna fucking fake it and stress myself out more than I really need to. Like I don't know this. Like I would like to understand the fundamentals before I get here. Yeah. And that's totally fair. And I think that takes a lot of courage because people do not do that. People are like, I'm gonna wing it. My ego. I can't be this stupid. Like, and it's not that you're stupid. You're just like lacking in knowledge. You know what I mean? So and you need the fundamentals.
That whole situation, even till now, has taught me that like anybody can like start anything and do anything. Like, is you just gotta like find a way. Like being where I am now, married and I have a dog, and like I live in Hollywood, California. Like that to me is like humongous.
You
know
get to do all of that.
Yeah, you get to do all that, and like starting at like the bottom of college and like working your way up, and then like I graduate in like January. I'm like, oh my God.
I was gonna ask that next. Like, when are you graduating?
Yeah, like January.
Wow.
I graduate Friday the 13th.
Fuck yeah!
Yeah, right?
So metal.
Right? Isn't that sick?
Isn't that so sick? I love it.
Yeah, no, I was like, damn. I was like, I'm gonna have a horror-filled career probably then.
Let's do it.
Right? But no, like it really that whole like life lesson was just. It's like you can really do anything. It might take a long time, but you can really do anything. And like moving out to LA is just like proving that even more. Like I just see like people like 1 year they're living in their car and the next they're like some like big real estate, you know, Mongol. You know what I mean? Like I've seen that a few times, whether it's like business or it's acting or it's, you know, behind the scenes or whatever. I knew this like one really wealthy guy. His name's Robert. What was it? His last name started with a C. Hopefully I'll remember it.
Sorry, Robert.
Sorry, Robert. But you know,
shout out to Robert.
Right? I was on the shoot and I offered to do something for free. I was like, oh, like I was like, I could do that easy, dude. Like, I think it was just something with sound. And this is like at the very beginning of my like learning about podcasting and stuff. And like, I just got my equipment. I was messing with it, but I knew how to do like the basic stuff. He didn't even know how to do the basic stuff. Yeah, you know what I mean? So he's like, oh my, how much I got to pay you? I was like, dude, this took me like 20 minutes.
I got you.
I was like, you don't have to pay me, bro. He's like, what? He's like, what? Like, really? I was like, yeah. And like, so people appreciate that over money. You know what I mean? Like, I would rather like get that reaction out of somebody than like make money, because I know eventually like that reaction is probably gonna make me money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, it's not like, it's like the concept of giving a present and then you're like, okay, but I'm going to give you this present because it makes me happy, not because I expect you to give me a present in return. But if you just so happen to give me a present in return, I won't mind.
100%. Exactly. And like, I think relationships are so important because it can get you indoors, money cannot.
Well, I'm very excited for you and your journey and where you're going to go with the podcast.
I'm so excited.
You actually have a crazy few months coming up. I love like the behind the scenes of making a film. It's the best.
It's so cool.
It's so cool.
Like I legit like watching all the pieces work together, especially when you're in charge of all those pieces is even more fun. Like to me, that's fun. Like, like having people like needing you and like they need your expertise.
You're such a director. That's like the ultimate. That's literally the job. Like the director, everyone needs a director.
Yeah, it's true though. It's like when you're a first assistant director. So like the director runs the cast. The first assistant director runs everyone behind the scenes if they need things. You know, majority of the time. But most people have their own, you know, sections to go to, but if you need like an overall question, it's usually the first AD, if not the first AD, the second. And so with that, it's, you know, it's very fascinating because as a first AD, you need to know a lot as well.
Absolutely.
You need to know a lot about the production that you're currently on. You need to know a lot
about... You need to know where people are. Exactly. Which is annoying. Like, that's why we have that call, like the 10-1 call, like, because you need to know when people are taking a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you need to know where everyone is at all times.
Yeah, exactly. And that can be difficult. It can be really difficult. But it's like, it's very fun in the sense of like time just flies when you do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but like I always just feel like I never like take a step back and realize like how like extreme that job can be.
It's so extreme.
It's so extreme.
That's why people die of strokes at 56.
Exactly.
I quit this bitch.
Right. And so like overall, I'm not trying to do like film forever. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do it for like maybe like 10, 20 years and like dip out.
Yeah.
You know, go out on, hopefully like my biggest like admiration is to go out on top. You know what I mean? Like those people that like go out on top, like they don't wait till their careers just go.
Ooh, why are we still here?
Yeah.
There was a Comedy Central roast where I think they were roasting Alec.
Those.
I love
Alec Baldwin. That one's so good.
Yep. Oh. And I think Robert De Niro or someone goes like, and now you're out here making what? Like diabetes commercials? Like you used to make movies, man.
Right. Oh man, Rob Lowe. No, I think was it Rob Lowe's?
Maybe
they did a breast cancer one on Rob Lowe.
Yeah,
because he was like he donates yearly to like this breast cancer thing. And there's like, what do you actually do though, bro? Like, like do you actually even do anything still? And he's like, I make TV.
I make TV.
He's like, I make TV. He's like, is it? They're like, yeah, like we're talking about shit worth watching, Rob. I was like, I was like, oh no.
Well, look, like I said, as far as our industry right now, podcasting is literally the Wild West. It really is not that old as opposed to everything else, all the other mediums that we use for entertainment. So it is quite baffling. I was looking up like different facts because I was like, oh, I feel like he would like these. And yeah, so I found this thing online called a podcasting historical timeline and milestones. In 2004, Adam Curry and Dave Weiner are credited with the invention of podcasting. Who exactly did what is up for dispute, apparently. But at the end, it's these two guys that got it rolling. And so these guys, I mean, I'll post it up here. Yeah, they'd look like your average schmoes. And that's okay, because that's what we are.
Right, exactly.
And then, if we go down the timeline, in 2005, in like July, George W. Bush is the first president to have his weekly address delivered as a podcast. I didn't know that. That's freaking crazy.
That's so crazy.
Before you'd watch it on TV, and you still do, but it's like, oh, wait. You can also hear it later in podcast form.
That's awesome.
Chickadee check.
That's dope.
In 2005, by December, The podcast is declared the word of the year by the New Oxford American Dictionary. So that, I didn't even know that dictionary was like, hey, we got words of the year.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a whole word of the year deal.
Well, because, we have, I always think of like the national holiday.
Yeah.
Which
One for
actually,
everything.
I just discovered that the International Podcast Day is September 30th.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Okay. Try to get an episode out on that day.
And as we progress down our podcast timeline, which is not very long, obviously, it hasn't been happening. There's a bunch of different stuff that happens, but these are the most, to me, notable ones. In June 2013, Apple announces the first 1 billion podcast subscribers. So it only took like 10 years to get there, but that's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay. Let's see. The next one that I thought was really, really, really fun, because I was like, wait, we should know this since we're dabbling. This is actually very current. On the 6th of February 2019, Spotify acquired the podcast networks Gimlet Media and Anchor FM Inc., which is what I use, establishing itself as a major player in podcasting.
I remember that news.
Whoa,
I remember that news. They were the first people to buy out a podcast show, too, I believe, too, Spotify.
Yeah, and so then we end up in pandemic year of May 19, and Joe Rogan announced that he had signed a multi-year licensing deal with Spotify.
Like 100 or 200 million, right?
Something, yeah. He collected what we would call the bag.
No, he collected the duffel bags.
The duffel bags.
The duffel bags.
And as of today, Joe Rogan Experience is still #1 in the world in
That's
podcasting.
Crazy.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, does any of that knowledge help me? A little bit. Just a little bit. I mean, you gotta know what you're working on.
It's good to know like the history of the business you're in as well.
Yeah, like what? Yeah, you gotta know what inspired the others, right? So then it also helps you make better decisions.
Oh, 100%.
Or even more thoughtful decisions with your craft. Which one of those podcast facts do you feel like influence you at all?
Honestly, so cliche.
You're gonna say Joe Rogan.
The Joe Rogan. Kind of. I will say what really surprised me was the 2004 fact in the beginning of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
That blew my mind. Like, I thought it was, like, way later. And so, like, that really blew my mind. And that kind of inspires me. And it makes you realize that it hasn't been around that long.
It really hasn't. We're in the Wild West.
Exactly. And when you, like, take into account, like, I think I was saying earlier, like, when you realize how many people are in this world, and you realize that there's probably, I think there's like 5 to million-ish podcasts out there now. There's so many.
Actually, let's find out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, like, all
right,
I think there's like 5 million or somewhere around that, like, number of podcasts these days. And like, if you really think about that, it's all mixed in different cultures. They're talking about different language podcasts. So really, like, the amount.
Oh, this is something from 2019.
I wouldn't trust 2019 because, like,
no, you're right. It's 2.4 million podcasts right now.
I think it's more now because it's 2022.
Holy moly.
It's a lot. But if you think about it, there's 7 billion people in this world. And, like, all those podcasts, say like 1 million are in the U.S., but all those other 1 point whatever million are outside of the U.S. So you don't understand their language. You don't.
That's true. You're right.
You don't know what they're talking about. And so, like, really, your competition's like 1 million podcasts. And, like, that sounds so much. It sounds like so much. But once you find, like, your niche and, like, you start getting, like, a hardcore fan base, you could have, like, 600 hardcore fans and, still produce great content and still, you still make money off of it if that's an issue for you. And that's why I tell people, too, I started a podcast because when I go in for job interviews these next few months, because I'm going to be leaving college, I want something for people to see my personality, like, outside of work.
Oh, I love that. Yep.
And so, like, I feel like it's going to help me get a job quicker.
Yeah.
And maybe even a better job than I would have gotten if I didn't do it. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Like, that's been my whole process. That's what's keeping me going at the moment. Is like, I'm doing this for, like, interviews and jobs, and, like, I'm doing it because my friends, love talking about, their health issues or mental health issues.
Yeah.
I love talking to people about them,
You love it. You're having fun.
Exactly. I love it. Like, I'm not like,
here we go. I gotta get someone
I'm
in
like,
here.
I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm so stoked for you to come. And, like, that's the thing podcasting has taught me a lot about too. It's like, to actually enjoy something. Because I do enjoy my work as a filmmaker, but there's days where I just like want to bash my head against a wall. You know what I mean?
It's just 12 hours too long, baby.
Yeah, exactly. And so like with podcasts, I've never felt like, oh my God. For instance, like I think about these things all the time to keep me going. Like, what if like my idol, like John Lithgow, or like, you know, Joe Rogan, or, you know, Jason Bateman with Smartless and stuff. What if they like come across my video just one day and they're like, oh, I want to invite that person. You know what I mean? It's like, there's that chance. There is that chance because you put it out in the world. You never know who's going to see it. Like, it takes one person to change your life. It doesn't take a fucking army. It takes one person.
Okay. Would you rather be interviewed by Joe Rogan in Austin, or would you rather co-host a podcast with Jay Shetty? How do you say
Jay Shetty? Damn, that's probably the Jay Shetty one.
Ooh,
bro, just because
so
I love,
quick. I like it.
I love Jay Shetty, and like I'm not gonna lie, like I love Joe Rogan, like, but his views are so different than mine now.
It's
like,
so controversial.
He's just. I think he purposely makes it controversial. That's what keeps him busy. You know what I mean? I think he knows 100% what he's doing and like what he says, because it's smart marketing. Like bad publicity is good publicity.
Yep, that's what they say.
Yeah,
that's what they say.
You can be controversial, but not
just triggering enough.
Exactly. He's triggering enough to know exactly what he's doing, and he does it really, really well. And I don't think he believes half the shit that they talk about, to be honest, but I think he does it because he knows what he's doing. Yeah, and he's had this podcast for like since like 2000 something.
Yeah, since the OG days.
Yeah, OG days. Yeah, he's had it for a very long time. 100%, I would choose Jay Shetty just because he's like a very big idol of mine. Or like instance, like you never know if Jay Shetty's gonna come across your video. You know what I mean? Like that. You never know, because you could tag him too. You know what I mean? You tag these people when you talk about them and they might see it. You never know. Like, that's the beauty of, like, Reels and TikTok and all this that people, like, shit on all the time. But it's like, you know, like, life-changing that is for some people?
Right.
Like, it changed their whole life. So I would 100%, without a doubt, co-host an episode with Jay.
Hey.
Without a doubt.
Jay, he's waiting
so humble,
for you.
Right? He's just so humble, and he's so just down. He seems like he's down to earth. He's a very smart man.
He is pretty awesome.
Yeah. He's very inspiring, though.
I love it. I used to ask this question to the listeners all the time, but what is something that you want people to talk and sip more about?
I think people need to be more open about their mental health, and I think people need to, you know, talk more about what they want to do in life. You know what I mean? Like
their passions.
What their passions are. Like, I feel like no one ever talks about that stuff anymore. Everyone's so caught up in the rat race of life and like trying to pay bills, and like I feel like no one ever just like takes a step back and like discusses.
Do you feel like we're reverting back to the days before the pandemic when things were just like the machine? We were cogs on a machine and going.
I think it's approaching fairly quickly. You know, especially now that like we don't really have to wear masks anywhere and stuff, and like things are definitely going back to the way they were. And you know, I really wish just people would pay more attention to things like that, like, or pay more attention to themselves, or even be more self-aware. You know what I mean?
A little bit more. Wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, and like I feel like no one really focuses on themselves anymore. They're always trying to please someone else, and they never like speak with their friends about like their struggles or nothing, or like
they're not confiding in people.
Yeah, well, because people think we have all this technology now. People think it's gonna get solved over like a TikTok, or you know, it can inspire you. You know, like I would love to inspire somebody to do that. You know, by seeing my TikTok, but it only goes so far.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and so I wish, you know, people would just talk more about, you know, with their friends about, you know, what they want in life, and you know what they want to pursue, and if they're doing okay. Like, I think it's
just a quick little check-in, my guy.
Yeah, exactly. And so like,
you good?
You know, and then also just, I don't know, just I guess you can cut this part out, but I hope people just, you know, appreciate life, and I hope they, you know, discuss it with their friends, because like nobody like talks about it, or like people just talk about work, or like how much they hate work, or like how much they hate their life.
You want them to talk about how they really are stoked that one place had the sriracha sauce that one time,
or how the ramen place was just
it
banger.
slapped. I agree.
Exactly, and I feel like and people should do it like outside of their homes. Like they shouldn't like, you know, I mean, like go like a park and have like a conversation. You know what I mean? Like it's good to like going to Brazil. Like I'm gonna be turning like all my work senses completely off.
Yeah, and you're just gonna be there to be there and have a good time.
I'm gonna have no SIM card, so people can't text me unless I got Wi-Fi. You know what I mean? And like I'm really trying to disconnect, and I think people should do the same, especially in this day and age with COVID disappearing now.
Yep.
And we're getting back into that machine work life type deal.
The cogs are going.
I think it's very crucial that people should do that.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
I'm so glad you had a good time.
Yeah, it was really fun. Thank you for, you know, inviting me. I appreciate it.
I was like, oh, we got to do a collab.
Yes, I thought the same thing.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate you coming. I'm so glad we finally got this collab down.
Yeah,
you know,
me too.
indie maker to another indie maker, different directions, probably the same goal: inspire, encourage, be fucking fruit to the world. And I love that we finally got to do this.
I'm really grateful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, that wraps our show. Before we say goodbye, we just want to say thank you so much to Sent to Destroy Studios with Chris Bonifay, my creative producer, Joshua Taylor, who helps me set up every single time. The extra equipment, the reason that you can see this awesome dude right here, Joseph Grable. It's Ted Lee Jones. Thanks for the hookup, my guy. The visual graphics that you see on social media, Eric Ayala. You are a real one, my guy. And awesome guest of mine, Joseph Grable.
Thank you so much
for being here today. I appreciate you.
Thank you for giving me a platform to talk on.
Awesome. And to express yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. And last but not least, you guys, thank you, the listeners, for tuning in every single week. Thank you for the Patreon subscribers. I know we used to do extra content for you guys, and now we're doing different things. Make sure you become a subscriber to Patreon if you want to get in on the goods, especially since Halloween has come and gone and the goods were released. So make sure you... $5 buckaroos. It's literally less than a Starbucks coffee. Also, make sure to follow Joseph at
the Joseph Grable at Instagram, and then Searching for Happiness on all streaming platforms.
Awesome. Don't forget to follow the pod at Talks and Sips with at TALKSNSIPS, and myself at Jayfoxx with 2 X's and 2 underscores. Feel free to write in at talksandsipps@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me if the facts I got were wrong, or tell me whatever you want. I don't care. Just write in. We love to learn more here on this podcast. And message the pod on Insta for merch. We got hats, baby. Oh, this isn't one of them. Normally I have one on. But we got hats, baby, and we got stickers. So message us there on Instagram. And check out the website for more info at talksandsipps.com. I am Jayfoxx. Glad to have had you tune in today wherever you are listening or watching this podcast. And you are?
Joseph Grable.
All right. We'll see you later. Toodles.
Later, guys.